In this video, we're going to talk about how to get into local politics. And not only am I going to tell you how to do that, I'm going to tell you how to thrive in local politics, the steps that you have to take, and how you can get involved and jumpstart a political career if you're interested in running for office at a local level. I have helped hundreds of candidates do that. I know of what I speak. So stick with me. What we're going to cover are the steps that you can take to get involved in local politics. We'll start by the organizations you join. We'll start with the expertise that you need when you circulate in community activities after you do join. We'll talk about how you excel at what you do. We'll talk about how you get noticed, and then we'll jump into how you can use what you've gained to jumpstart a political career. The first way to get involved is what I call the principle of go, do, join. Go to meetings. Go visit organizations. Get involved in activities in your community. Perhaps you get involved with your local political party. Perhaps you get involved by helping a candidate that you like. Perhaps you get involved by joining a civic or community organization. Perhaps you get involved by joining the Rotary Club or the Lions Club or the Chamber of Commerce or the Kiwanis Club. Get involved in local activities in your community, and you will meet people who can someday be helpful to you, people who are influential in your community that may take notice of the fact that you're there and that you're doing good work. And I'm going to share with you a story of how one person did it in a community where I lived as a teenager. He volunteered to lead the annual fundraising drive for an organization called United Way. And there were lots of organizations that United Way wanted to help, so he turned it into something that he publicized throughout the course of the fundraising drive. The very first photo op he did was he stood on the courthouse square, erected this big thermometer, and had a little red thermometer that demonstrated how far they were away from the goal they were trying to reach. His picture was in the paper. He was surrounded by lots of community leaders, and once a week thereafter, he would do another event to highlight the groups that United Way was trying to help in that community. One week it was mothers who needed help because they were about to have children and they lived in poverty. Another group was a local orphanage where children went that had been abandoned, and what this orphanage was doing to provide an education and decent food to the people in the orphans. Another week they publicized an orphanage that was being funded by United Way and the great things that they were doing for the orphans that lived there. Another time they had this elderly facility that they highlighted and the care it was providing back during the day when not everybody was on Social Security, not everybody had health insurance, and some seniors were living in abject poverty. Every week his picture was in the paper, associating him with people who needed help and what he was doing to try and elevate their quality of life. He made such a reputation for himself. Here's a man doing all of these wonderful things. They eventually reached their goal. The fundraising drive was a success, and everybody fondly remembered that year of this great campaign for United Way. 2 years later, he was elected the state senator from this area. What he did was capitalize on what he got out of organizing that United Way campaign in that community. The influential people that he met, the people of means who contributed to the campaign, the groups that he had helped and the leaders of those groups that so appreciated his help. He was elected to the state senate in a landslide election. In part, he got his start by leading a civic and community organization in that community that everybody fondly remembered. Now, this illustrates one thing about your involvement in community and civic activities. You're going to have a chance to meet influential people, and they're going to be watching how you do the work that you have volunteered to do. So excel at all you do. If you say you're going to show up, show up. If you make a commitment to somebody, keep that commitment. If you're asked to do a particular job, you do that job to the best of your ability. I'm going to paraphrase a recent speech I heard. Don't do anything half-assed. And the reason is there are going to be people watching you, and there are going to be people who may notice your leadership skills, your character, your integrity, and once you decide that you want to pursue a career in public office, you're going to find that there are people who you have crossed paths with that can be very helpful to you, and they will fondly remember you if you have excelled at what you have done. Oh, and before I continue, if you are thinking of running for local office, I've written a new ebook that is free to you, The 12 Essential Steps to Prepare for a Political Campaign. The link is in the description underneath this video. I would suggest that when we're done here, you grab your copy of it. Third step to getting involved in local politics is make it your job to be smart. Now, what does that mean? Be smart. That means be well informed. Be acutely aware of what is going on in the world around you. I mentioned you're going to run into influential people as you go and you do and you join. Well, I'll tell you, if you're always up to date on what's going on in your community, if you are always up to date on what is going on in your state and your country and around the world, if you are keenly in tune with current events, you're always going to be interesting to talk to. And in fact, so interesting to talk to that people are going to think, because you're well informed, that you are really, really on top of things and that you have leadership skills, that you care enough to keep up with the news and pay attention to what is going on in the world. Now, not only will that impress other people, but it's also a great education, because as you stay up with the news and pay attention to things, you're going to see in newspapers the kinds of problems that need a solution that you may want to talk about in a political campaign. Fourth point I would make about getting involved in local politics, and this is the art of making friends and keeping friends. You want to make a friend? Be a friend. You want to keep a friend? Stay in touch. Why is this important? Throughout your life, you are going to encounter exceptional people, extraordinarily bright or of great moral character, or people who are just extraordinarily generous or extraordinarily kind. Those are the people that you want to keep as friends. You also want to stay in touch with them. So make it a habit as you meet people and as you note the ones that you think could someday really be helpful to you, make a note to stay in touch with them. Find an excuse at least once every 6 months or once a year to drop them a note or send them something that you think they may be interested in, or just pick up the phone and call them and chat. It's the art of maintaining valuable friendships throughout your life, because when you get into politics, you never know when you could use the help of one of those people you met 20 years before. My final suggestion here, if you want to get involved in local politics, learn to speak, learn to give a speech, learn to stand in front of an audience and say a few words without using a prepared speech, without using notes. And here's why. History is filled with iconic figures who were so great at expressing their views, so great when it came to the ability to speak in public, that they quickly rose up the political ladder and achieved positions of great power almost solely because of their ability to craft words. Now, some of the famous ones that you may know of: Lincoln, Roosevelt, John Kennedy, Ronald Reagan, Barack Obama, all had a very quick path to one of the most powerful positions in the entire world because of their ability to speak. And then there are those that you may not have heard of, but I tell you that each year there are thousands of candidates who rise to the top very quickly in their own communities because of their ability to put words together, to touch, to move, to inspire people simply through their ability to craft words and say them well. That is a secret weapon. If you develop that ability to stand up in front of a group and talk, it will take you to places unknown.